friends and welcome to Radio Manav Rachna 107.8 FM. मैं हूँ RJ भावना और रेडियो मानव रचना 107.8 FM पर प्रोग्राम एक खास मुलाकात। आज की बहुत ही खास मुलाकात है क्योंकि इस मुलाकात का हम बड़े लंबे समय से इंतजार कर रहे थे। आज हमारे स्टूडियो में है राजीव कपूर जी, जो कि MD MREI and CEO MRVPL, और साथ के साथ अगर देखिए तो एक लंबा स्पैनिंग करियर, उस करियर में बहुत सारे लीडरशिप रोल्स में ये रहे हैं। अगर मैं बात करूं, ये एक्स डायरेक्टर रहे हैं और ग्रुप हेड रहे हैं HR मिंडा के, उसी के साथ साथ HR डायरेक्टर रहे हैं G4S के, चीफ पीपल ऑफिसर रहे हैं फोर्टिस हेल्थ केयर के, JCB के एक्स वाइस प्रेसिडेंट रहे हैं। सो बहुत सारे लीडरशिप पोस्ट पर ये रहे हैं, लेकिन आज अपने ढेर सारे एक्सपीरियंस और बहुत सारे विजडम के साथ हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में है। करेंगे इनका स्वागत रेडियो मानव रचना 107.8 FM के स्टूडियो में।
Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Sir, you've had a beautiful journey where you've been on leadership posts. But if I ask you about this journey, it comes with a lot of responsibility also.
Okay.
So, मुझे बताइए इस जर्नी के बारे में थोड़ा सा।
So I have overall about 37 years of work experience, and it's been a very, very, I would say, enriching journey. If I look back, when I started my career and I graduated in law from Punjab University campus, I started working as a lawyer. I was interning with some of the very good senior lawyers, and I picked up a lot of good legal aspects from both of them. In fact, two senior lawyers I was working with, and I've done a lot of civil work, criminal work, the company law related work. So that was a great learning I had. So during that legal profession, I was approached by DCM Sriram, Lala Bansidhar's group, and they had connected with my senior lawyer, and they wanted that if they could hire me in their organization to look after the legal work in their group company. So that gave me a break into the corporate sector. That was my first corporate job under DCM Sriram, and that was in Faridabad itself. And I joined them as a law officer, and I think in about 2 years' time, the legal matters got over because I could handle most of them. And then I was given the responsibility of heading the personnel and administration. That is how it was known at that point of time.
Yes.
HR was not a word which was commonly used in the Indian parlance at that time. So the personnel and administration work, and which came with a lot of responsibility of industrial relations. And the plant which I was heading had a lot of industrial relation issues. So that gave me a very good grounding on IR. And I spent about 5 years in that organization. And I also must say that I was very young at that point of time when I was alone in the plant in the night, and I had to declare a lockout because of the IR scenario. I don't think anybody could get that kind of an exposure or experience at that age, but I got it, and I consider myself lucky because that gave me a lot of confidence in handling these scenarios. So that was the first corporate job, and then I was hired by Goodyear India Limited, which is an American MNC known globally for the best tires which they make. So I was given the responsibility of again employee relations in the Goodyear plant, and again a very, very volatile union, very volatile, and I would say ranging on a bit of violent union at that point of time. So it had to be dealt with very, very carefully with kid gloves. You had to handle the scenario, keep the plant running, and also bring in a lot of policies and change management processes in the organization. So that was again a big responsibility, and the plant at that point of time was on the verge of shutting down because the US management had decided to close this operation because it wasn't making any money for them. It had a lot of issues, a lot of plant-based IR issues. So with me and the team, and I was fortunate to get a very, very good colleague there. Together, we did a lot of work over there in, let's say, educating the workforce, educating the union itself, bringing the change management process in place, listening to people, and then doing things which were right for the organization, which required a lot of trust building, a lot of respect building for the organization, and spent about 8 years there. So instead of shutting down that plant, I think the plant started growing very well, and it reached a very high level of productivity. with minimal intervention of additional manpower. So I think those were the things which created a lot of foundational issues, foundational principles solidified in me that yes, it can be done. You deal with people in the right manner, convince them, build respect, build trust, and things can happen. So 8 years in Goodyear, and then my next major assignment was with the JCB. And JCB was, I joined them as head of human resources in the plant. And that time we had only one plant of JCB in India. And that too was a joint venture with Escorts.
Yes.
It was known as the EJCB. So the mandate I had was to take it out from the joint venture and make it a 100% subsidiary of JCB UK. Took us about 2 years to bring that cultural change in introducing policies of progressive policies of, let's say, JCB UK over there. Again, handling a lot of employee relation issues because of the connect with the Escorts Union at that point of time. Very low productivity plant. It was in the last plant in the JCB group worldwide from that perspective. And again, huge amount of change management, huge amount of team building, onboarding of the right talent in the organization. In fact, I take pride in saying that I was responsible for bringing in the top team in the organization. We used to call it the executive committee. All of them were hired by me. And so I think that teamwork, along with our relationship building, the trust building with the union, saw a sea change in the organization. From being the last in the JCB group worldwide, we became number one. And we were the best in productivity, we were the best in quality anywhere in the JCB world global. So I think that brought huge amount of sense of pride in the organization. From a scenario where we were struggling to build a ninth machine in a shift, we could go up to 110 machines in a shift.
Wow.
So that brought in a lot of change in the thought process of the management. India as a country was growing in the infrastructure space at that point of time, and the need for these machines were high.
Yes.
So we were there to grab the market, and we still, I'm very proud to say that at that point of time we had about 74-75% of market share, which currently is again hovering around 79%. So that's the leadership space JCB captured. And it's a case study how a very low productivity plant and a low quality output plant could become world's number one. So that gave confidence to the management of JCB UK, and we got another site opened up in Pune, and we had the Pune plants coming up during my tenure, and then a third site in Jaipur was also conceived. So I was responsible for buying the land over there, because I was heading not just the HR, I was heading the legal also there. So the legal aspect of the land, documentation and all. So we bought this land in Jaipur, and now the plant is running very, very progressively in Jaipur also, Pune also, and Ballabgarh, of course, expanded during my tenure. And very happy to say that JCB is growing very well in India. And I think recently, about 2 years ago, they opened up a plant in Gujarat also, in Vadodara. So that's the growth story of JCB. Why I'm telling this, because I was part of the team which brought in this change. So you always feel connected, you always feel proud of the achievements. Of course, it is not an individual's contribution, it's a team contribution. But then you're a part of that team. So I think that adds a lot of experience to you, brings a lot of knowledge to you. And so that's the JCB story. And then, of course, I was contacted by a healthcare organization, which is Fortis Healthcare. And they were, I think, at that point of time also number 2 player in the overall country as far as the network of healthcare the hospitals goes. Number 1 used to be Apollo at that point of time. So they were running 50 plus hospitals at that stage. Now, why would they want a person from manufacturing to come into healthcare, and why would a healthcare person go to from a manufacturing to healthcare? So that was a question which was being asked time and again to me, that why are you shifting? So the point is, healthcare was getting consolidated at that point of time. So one hospital chain was buying the other hospital chain. So the number of units was increasing, the number of people working in an organization, they were going up. But healthcare at that point of time had no people policies,
Yes.
which was a big gap. So, and manufacturing was a space where people policies were already set in very well. The quality processes, the customer processes, people processes. So that was the thought process of the promoters of Fortis. They wanted a person from manufacturing to come and set up those processes. So that gave me an opportunity to work on a very good platform, almost a blank canvas. We brought in very good people practices, leadership development practices, because you're dealing with a very different level of people in a healthcare setup. You're dealing with star doctors, you're dealing with star clinicians, very, very highly educated people.
Yes.
So how do you engage with them? How do you attract them to join your organization? And how do you make sure that they stay engaged and they develop and grow in the organization? So that gave a very different learning to me when you deal with such kind of people in the organization. And on the other side, there was challenges of nurse shortage, attrition of nurses.
Yes.
So I think it was a very different experience. Spent about close to 4 years in Fortis, and then again transitioned back to manufacturing with Uno Minda. Briefly, I had a stint with the G4S also, where I was looking after India and Bangladesh as a HR head with about 150,000 employees and about 80 plus unions handling those employees. So it was again a very large assignment. But then I was getting calls from manufacturing that why don't you come back? So I chose to go back to manufacturing. So I served Uno Minda Group for about 6.5 years as executive director, group head of human resource, and I again brought HR processes in that organization to the next level. We had a very great team to work with. All of us collaborated very well. The entire organization supported us very well. And let me also share with you, Uno Minda is a very people-centric organization. The talent over there has been there for many years. So there are people who have been there for 30 plus years. So that's the length of stay which is there. How do you develop those people? How do you take them to the next level of competency? How do you keep them relevant in the organization? I think that was a big challenge, and the thought process need to be changed because the organization was doing very well. Now, how do you expedite the development of people in that scenario? How do you make sure that the people within the organization they get a development profile to handle larger businesses as the organization grows? So those were the aspects we were looking at, and very happy to say that in the auto component space, we were the first ones to reach the great place to work from a people perspective, and we had set ourselves a target to achieve this in 24-25, but very happy to say that we achieved it in the year 2021, and again got a repeat in 2022. So it's a well-established organization. HR processes are well respected. We were in the top 40 in the country in all segments of organizations, and we became a benchmark as far as the HR practices are concerned. So I think that's been a great journey because auto component, they are tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, so they're not seen from the OEM lens.
Yes.
But when the OEMs also start respecting your HR processes, I think that's a great feeling to have. And we were ranked number 1 in the auto sector. So I think that was a great feeling, and that was a great sense of achievement, not only for me, but for the entire team of human resources and also the entire Uno Minda team. So that was the time, and then again I was nearing my age of superannuation. So I was thinking that what next? Should I continue in Uno Minda, because of course they have a policy of extending and getting you years beyond your superannuation. But then I wanted to do things very differently now, and this let's say the end of my career stage, last years of my career, I wanted again to make a shift to do some more meaningful. I'm not saying manufacturing is not meaningful, but where you can add more value, where your experience of the past 37 years will start adding more value to the new organization. So education came up as a sector which, again, like healthcare used to be about 10 15 years ago, education sector also is in that phase right now. Many education organizations have mushroomed in the country, but if you look at the practices, the people practices, the policy network, I think that is where a lot of work can be done. That is one aspect. Second aspect is all the industrial experience, all the healthcare experience also needs to be translated into the curriculum.
Yes.
How do you pass on this information, this knowledge to the youngsters who will be starting their career in a few years' time? So I think that is an important aspect where I want to bring that experience to the fore and participate in curating the right curriculum for the youngsters and prepare them better for their onward journey into new careers. So that's the second aspect. Third, of course, is making sure that the industry academia connect, while it has been there for many years, becomes more meaningful.
Yes.
Because when I come here from an industry, so I have my resources, I've got my connects in the industry, so how to utilize those connects to the benefit of for the benefit of this organization, I think that will be another added advantage. And I also just forgot to mention, I also am on the board of a logistics company. So I also bring the logistics knowledge into the fray. I am an independent director on the board since 2016 with Ecom Express. So they are the last mile delivery experts, and they work with all these e-com platforms. So the people who come to actually deliver your product at your home are more or less employed by them. So the logistics experience, manufacturing, legal, healthcare, now into education.
Yes.
I think so. As they always say that I'm now back into education, so getting to know things differently, learning the latest trends in education systems, and also trying to, let's say, dovetail my experience with the new knowledge which I'm gaining in this organization for the betterment of for Manav Rachna, for the students who are studying in Manav Rachna. I think that's what my aim would be.
So Manav Rachna Educational Institutions, the entire Manav Rachna family is so happy to have you here. And today as a family we sit down and definitely we are going to be benefited with all the rich experience that you bring with you. We are going to speak a lot of things about leadership. We're going to talk about how we can actually make a good career and what is the role those leaders play in making better careers right through the education pattern. But you'll have to stay tuned to Radio Manav Rachna 107.8 FM. Feel good, feel live. वेलकम बैक फ्रेंड्स, आप सुन रहे रेडियो मानव रचना 107.8 एफएम। मैं हूँ आरजे भावना और रेडियो मानव रचना 107.8 एफएम पर प्रोग्राम है एक खास मुलाकात। आज की खास मुलाकात राजीव कपूर जी के साथ, MD MREI, CEO MRVPL और बहुत सारी बड़ी बड़ी डेजिग्नेशंस को ये संभाल चुके हैं। अब हम ना आपको HR वर्ल्ड की बात करते हैं। और राजीव जी, अगर मैं HR वर्ल्ड की बात करूं तो लोगों को ऐसा लगता है एज अ करियर HR इज सबसे कूल करियर। क्यों? क्योंकि ऐसा माना जाता है कि जो मार्केटिंग और सेल्स है उनको तो ड्राइव फोर्स माना जाता है, उन्हें सबसे ज्यादा मेहनत करनी पड़ती है। लेकिन जब हम पीपल पॉलिसी की बात करते हैं, जिस पर आपने सबसे ज्यादा काम किया है, दैट इज द टफेस्ट थिंग टू डील विद ह्यूमंस। सो मुझे बताइए, ये जो एक मिथ है ना, HR इज अ कूल करियर, क्या ये वाकई उतना कूल है या इसमें भी उतनी ही मेहनत की जरूरत पड़ती है?
See, it is how you look at it.
Yes.
HR over the last few years has really become a very integral part of the business.
Yes.
And let me also point out one more thing. If you look at a balance sheet, if you look at the annual account statement of an organization, you see numbers.
Yes.
You don't see people behind those numbers.
बिल्कुल.
But those numbers are brought there by the people behind those numbers. Who hires those people? Who takes care of those people? It's the HR function.
Yes.
So I also know that many people feel that HR is so easy to handle.
Yes.
But while yes, there are good people outside HR also who are good HR managers. Everybody is an HR manager because everybody deals with people. But then the subtle nuances of the function of HR, I think due credit should go to HR because they understand who are the right fit people to be hired in the organization. They are the cultural custodians of the organization. They are the value custodians for the organization. So the onboarding, the acquisition of talent, I think that plays a very, very important role. So in one of the, let's say, interactions, so I was asked by a very, very senior colleague, of course I'll not name him, कि HR क्या करता है? HR करता क्या है? So my simple answer to that individual is that we hire people like you.
Yes.
So if you think you're successful, you've been hired by HR.
Yes.
And then that guy immediately stopped asking any further questions because they forget. Because HR is responsible for identifying the right talent onboarding in the organization, making sure that there is a cultural fit, there is an induction which happens properly. If those things are not taken care of, then you are not doing the right job. So while HR is important, the right HR people are also important. So not everybody is a good HR manager.
Yes.
So you have to be very conscious about getting the right HR people into the organization. Let me also give an example. We are moving into a very tech zone kind of an organizations across, and we are talking about chatbots, we are talking about AI coming everywhere. And a very close friend of mine who works in a very, very well-known global Fortune 100 organizations, we were having a discussion. So he says, who's your HR head? He says, I don't know. That is strange. He says, but we have no interaction with HR in our organization. So how do you operate? He says, it's all online. It is all through AI and chatbot. We have nobody, we don't know the face of HR. Do you like it? He says, no. Because there are times when I want to talk to a face.
Yes.
There are times when I want to discuss certain things, because policies are policies.
Yes.
I have a specific need. Whom do I go and talk to? Because if I ask the chatbot, there are programmed answers, I'll get the same answer every time. So I think that is where we need to understand that a physical interaction with HR function is extremely important, and people want to do that.
Yes.
So organizations are not realizing, they are happy becoming more and more high tech.
Yes.
So the mantra which HR is following is that, okay, fine, you need to be high tech, but with high touch.
Yes.
So the touch part is very, very important. And human beings, as long as we don't have 100% organizations running on robots, you will need HR functions. And HR function is extremely important to be the human face of the organization. That is extremely important. So my message to the youngsters is that HR, do not consider HR as a light function.
Yes.
It is how you take it. Now, if you get involved in the business, you are a business partner, not from just an HR perspective, but from running the business, owning the business, taking the entire accountability, ownership. So let me give an example. If an organization spends 1,000 crores in setting up a brand new plant facility, and everything is up and running, machines are installed, everything is available. Now, from where are you going to get the human resource in that plant?
Yes.
What type of human resource are you requiring? Now, if it's an IR sensitive zone, should you hire people from the local area? From where are you going to get the people? What should be the mix of, let's say, experienced people and the young people? How many jobs should you have which are regular, which are on contract, which are on a gig platform, which are on fixed term employment? All these decisions ensure or will have an impact on the running of the plant or a business. So I think that is where HR needs to start playing a very, very active role. It is not they are supplying only numbers as far as people are concerned. They need to look at the quality, the role fit, the right person for the right role. I think that is, and to get into that mode, you need to understand the organization. You need to understand the culture of the organization. You need to understand the value system of the organization. You need to understand the business of the organization. If HR does not understand the product, that HR will never be able to do justice to the job. So HR needs to be on the shop floor. They need to be in the offices where the discussions are taking place. They need to be in meetings where strategies are getting discussed, because If they don't understand this, they won't be able to do justice with onboarding of talent. So from that perspective, HR is now an integral part.
Yes.
Now, I gave you my example. I am on the board of an organization. Why? Because of my HR knowledge.
Yes.
They wanted, because that's a new organization, they wanted a person they can bounce their ideas as far as the people policies are concerned, practices are concerned, and onboarding of the right talent is concerned.
Yes.
So that is where the seriousness comes in. That is how good organizations look at HR. So that's what I think how HR
A
is
beautiful
contributing.
answer. In fact, for all those people who thought HR does nothing except that they look at the CVs and hire people, it is a huge process और ये बिल्कुल भी आसान नहीं है. अब एक अगला अहम सवाल. आज आप एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस के साथ हैं एंड लाइक यू मेंशन दैट यू कैन एक्चुअली ऐड अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. क्या आपको नहीं लगता है राइट फ्रॉम द इंडक्शन we think that we should, while onboarding any employee, we always feel that he should be inducted in a way that he understands the culture. But अगर हम इसे curriculum में add कर दें and that human touch and that leadership values are added in the curriculum, wouldn't that make a more difference than actually inductions?
Yeah. See, adding it in curriculum, of course, will help. But living those things, I think that is more relevant. Let me give an example. Studying about, let's say, reading a chapter on emotional quotient
Yes.
will not help. You will know the definition of EQ. But how do you practice it? How do you practice mindfulness? I think those need to be taught by projects. Those need to be taught in as a live scenario. So I think those are some of the areas. EQ is one, mindfulness is one, where I feel the current generation needs to be, I would say, be made more alive to these
Yes.
scenarios, because when they join organizations, specifically in HR, now EQ is important for every leader,
Yes.
but in HR it is more important because you need to empathize, you need to put yourself in the shoes of the person who's come to talk to you, so that you're able to give the right solution. So these are very, very important aspects. So curriculum will not do justice to these areas. Yes, they're important to be taught, but how do you live these areas? I think that kind of some role plays have to be done so that the message hits home, students understand that why it is important. If these are the good foundational things given to the students, I'm sure they become good employees, good leaders in the future years, and they are able to lead large teams and large organizations.
एक्चुअली नो इफ यू सी हम हमेशा ये देखते हैं कि हमने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में किसी को हायर किया और अब ये रोबोट की तरह काम करने लग जाएगा, लेकिन वो इंसान भी इंसान ही है और उसकी भी ज़रूरतें हैं और शायद उनकी ज़रूरतों का ख्याल एचआर रखता है. और अगर हम ऐसे प्रोफेशनल्स बनाए, रादर हम ऐसे लीडर्स बनाए, अगर आप देखेंगे हमेशा एक डिस्कशन होता है हाउ डू वी हैव लीडर्स हु कैन क्रिएट बेटर प्रोफेशनल्स. और चैलेंज ये होता है कि लोग बॉस बनकर रह जाते हैं. जैसे ही आप उस लीडरशिप पोस्ट पर आते हैं तो आपको ये लगता है कि अब मेरे पास एक टीम है और मुझे इस टीम को लीड नहीं करना है, मुझे इसको बॉस करना है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली वो सिनेरियो बदल जाता है. और इस चीज को अगर आप देखें टेक्स्ट बुक्स में कभी पढ़ाया नहीं जाता है.
Let me just add something here, Bhavna. Concepts are changing.
Yes.
Two examples. One, the concept of leading from the front was very important. It is still relevant, but it is changing. It is actually already changed. It is now lead from the back.
Yes.
This is the new concept which is coming, which means the leader should be at the back of the team.
Yes.
Where the team has the confidence that we have our backs covered.
Yes.
There is somebody who will take care of us, but the leader's job is to propel the people forward. ये नया thought process है.
Yes.
So lead from the back is a thought process which is catching on, and the new leadership style is ensuring that you have leaders who are leading the team but from the back. So I think this is something which we need to be very mindful of. This is the new way of leading the teams. Second, I'm coming back to the HR thing. See, there are policy manuals available.
Yes.
Everybody can read those manuals. Now, if as an employee, I have a specific requirement, I've read the manual, I know it is not possible, and I go to the HR manager, and the HR manager also reads the same policy manual and tells me कि boss नहीं हो सकता. then my question would be, why does he have to be there?
Exactly.
I can also read the manual. He also has read the manual to me. I also know the policy. He has also read the policy to me. फिर क्यों रखा है इसको?
Yes.
I think that is the question which we need to answer. What value is that person going to add? So the role of HR becomes extremely important, like I mentioned earlier, the EQ part.
Yes.
Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Your job is to, of course, read the manual, read the policy, see how it can be
Molded in a manner.
molded in a manner, or you can get something specific done for this individual. Now, even if you give a hearing to that individual, that is extremely important.
Yes.
Because the ability to listen is becoming extinct now.
Yes.
People are not, they are not there to listen. So they are just to read out the thing, okay, fine. It's very transactional, I would say. So the role of HR becomes very important if you are a good listener. So listening skill is an extremely important skill for HR. The other person, employee who comes to you also knows that this cannot be done.
Yes.
I'm asking for something which is not allowed.
Yes.
Now, if the HR tells ki sorry, go back, not possible.
Yes.
He'll go back. But with what impression? The point is, if you listen to the story of that individual, that why is he wanting a deviation?
Yes.
You may be able to give a solution. You may be able to move certain pegs in the management and get some specific thing, maybe out of policy, maybe through some other source,
Yes.
which doesn't deviate the policy also, but the person also gets the help. That is the role HR has to play. Then the respect for HR grows in the organization. Yeah, they helped me. चलो अगर help नहीं भी करी, they heard me.
Heard me, yes.
They empathize with me. But the policy doesn't allow, I'm okay with that. But अगर आप ये नहीं करोगे, then people will rightfully ask, then why are you here? Policy तो मैं भी पढ़ सकता हूँ.
बिल्कुल.
ये तो कंप्यूटर पे सबके पास पॉलिसी है. Then why are you here? So I think these are some simple nuances with if HR people can graduate up to, they will be seen as people adding value to the organization.
Actually yes. So एक टाइम था जहां वर्क फ्रॉम होम कल्चर था ही नहीं. इट वॉज एक्सपेक्टेड आप आइए, अपनी प्रेजेंस दिखाइए, फिजिकल प्रेजेंस से आप काम कर सकते हैं. लेकिन शायद कोई एक ऐसा ही HR लीडर था जिसको लगा कि बहुत सारे हमारी विमेन वर्कफोर्स जो है वो शायद अपने फर्स्ट चाइल्ड के बाद या मैटरनिटी लीव के बाद इसलिए घर पर बैठ जाते हैं बिकॉज दे कैन नॉट गिव अ फुल टाइम टू द फिजिकल प्रेजेंस इन द ऑफिसेस. एंड उस प्रोमाइसेस में वो नहीं आती हैं, इसलिए वो बहुत अच्छा टैलेंट घर पर रह जाता है. शायद किसी का इंटेलिजेंट ब्रिलियंट ब्रेन था जिसने ये सोचा कि क्यों ना घर पर रहकर भी ये काम किया जा सकता है. तो आई थिंक ये सारी चीजें कहाँ से आती हैं, बट ऑफ कोर्स ऐसे लीडर से. और ऐसे लीडर्स ही वो चेंज लेकर आते हैं जिस चेंज का हम हमेशा से न सिर्फ अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में लेकिन अपने देश में भी इंतजार करते हैं. सर इतनी सारी हमने बातें की हैं. अगर हम बात करें आने वाली जनरेशन के लिए, सो आने वाली जनरेशन वो है जो आज कहीं जाएंगी, किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस का हिस्सा बनेंगी और उसके बाद सबसे पहली चीज जहां देखी जाती है क्या हमारे स्किल्स के हिसाब से हमें हमारी वैल्यू मिल रही है. लेकिन मैं बात करना चाहती हूँ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी की. विद ईच इंडिविजुअल हु जॉइन्स द फैमिली और द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कम्स द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. क्या आपको कहीं नहीं लगता ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वाली चीज थोड़ी सी लैक कर रही है?
See, every generation is different from the previous
Yes.
one. The current generation has grown up or they've seen a situation of plenty around them. So they have never felt the shortage of anything.
Yes.
Parents are there to support. They know they have a backup of the parents. So they have that mindset. If I'm not liking the job, I'll quit.
Yes.
And in the previous generations, you wanted to stick around. You
Yes.
made changes to adjust to the new organization and learn the new ways of working and deliver, take accountability. That is a bit low in the current generation.
Yes.
It's not their fault. It is the environment they've grown up with. It's the environment the parents have given them. But when they get into the corporate sector, when they get into the job scenario, I think taking ownership is one very important aspect. Then comes accountability. So these are two important things if somebody has to grow in the career. These are the two key ingredients. Taking ownership and taking accountability, you cannot escape them. If you escape them, then you will not grow in your organization or any organization. You may keep shifting jobs. You may not like a job. You will decide, I'm getting into a new scenario. मैं एक नई job कर रहा हूँ. Oh, again, accountability will be required there also.
Yes.
So it is a very important ingredient. Ownership, taking accountability. These are the two very key aspects for success. And like it has been said from centuries, hard work is the only way to grow in your career. There is no easy way. It is hard work, and hard work. You cannot escape that.
और इसका सबसे अच्छा तरीका बताऊं, हार्ड वर्क करने से ना आपका कॉन्फिडेंस भी बूस्ट होता है और आपको सारे तरीके आ जाते हैं हार्ड वर्क करने के, उसके बाद वो हार्ड वर्क इजी हो जाता है. सो अगर हम ये फॉलो करें तो हम लाइफ में सक्सेसफुल जरूर होते हैं. इसी बात पर तहे दिल से धन्यवाद कहना चाहूंगी राजीव जी, आज आपने अपना कीमती समय निकाला. जाने से पहले हमारे सभी लिसनर्स को क्या कहकर जाना चाहेंगे आप?
I think have a positive outlook, and the world is there to receive you with open arms. There's a lot to be done, and I think India is at a stage right now which it is leading the world, and India is, even outside India, if you see, the leaders everywhere are Indians.
Yes.
Even if you look at the global MNCs, the global big names, they are led by Indians. So let us not lose that advantage. Why are those people successful? Because they took ownership, they took accountability, they worked hard to reach where they have reached. So if we have idolized those people, if those are our corporate idols, let us work hard. Let us strive to become leaders who can take up global positions. Again, I'm saying no easy way. You will have to work very hard to reach those areas. We are at a cusp where India is going to lead from the front, and we already made a mark. We should continue to make a mark, and I'm sure the young generation, because of the tech angle which they have to their knowledge, they are going to lead the country, and they are going to have India lead the entire world. So world is there, world is your play field. It is not just restricted to your city, your district, or your state, or your country. The world is your play field. You can go anywhere, you can do anything. So I think this is an opportunity which you must grab with both the hands, but have a goal, meet those goals, and you'll have to work hard to meet those goals. There's no easy way. So stay focused, stay connected, and like I said, be high tech, but maintain a high human touch with everything what you do, because it's ultimately people who make an organization, and you are a person who's employed. You will run teams, take care of the teams, have a high EQ, and you will do very well in your careers. So all the very best.
थैंक यू सो वेरी मच. तहे दिल से धन्यवाद सर, आज
Thank you
आपने
so
अपना
much.
कीमती समय निकाला.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
दोस्तों, वक्त है आपसे इजाजत लेने का, लेकिन आप कहीं नहीं जाने वाले हैं. आप जुड़े रहने वाले हैं रेडियो मानव रचना 107.8 FM के साथ. फील गुड, फील लाइव.